Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I was trying to think of a story that I wanted to tell because I've done so many like advice videos recently that I thought, what's just kind of like a fun story that I've told or something that happened in my life that I learned as I was growing up and made me into who I am today. And I actually shared part of this on a vlog recently, or I've maybe like shared bits and pieces of it on several different vlogs through the years, but I wanted to talk about my participation in sports growing up because it's something that I think most people wouldn't assume about me. And it's also, I think, probably for those of you guys that don't know that I played sports growing up, it probably is a little bit interesting for you. So, before we get into this, I want to say that both of my parents were not super athletic people. My stepmother was highly athletic, and she was the #1 singles tennis player in the state of Indiana the year that she graduated from high school. My dad and my mom played tennis recreationally for my entire life. My mom did till she passed away. Well, till a year before she passed away, or 6 months when she got sick. So I grew up very much in a tennis family, and from a very young age, honestly like 4, I started playing tennis, and I played in leagues, I went to camps, all over the place, and always had private coaches and all that kind of stuff. So I played tennis for a very long time. But I also played other sports, and the sports I played were soccer, which I don't really have any memory of, other than going to the side of the game on Saturdays and getting those orange slices, and we would all put them in our mouth. That's all I remember about it. I don't remember anything else. And I can see the picture, and I'm like kneeling down, and I have like on the ball, and I have like this green outfit on. I'll have to see if I can find these pictures. And I have this like horrible kind of shag hairdo. I mean, it was the late 70s, okay? So anyway, but that's all I remember about soccer. But I also skied when I was growing up, like a lot. Like, I skied a lot growing up. And won medals for skiing and stuff like that. I so could have been an Olympic skier. No, I couldn't have. But I really did at times think that I was going to go and professionally play tennis. That was one of the things that I thought would probably happen to me because I had played for so long, and there was like 4 or 5 of us in the Indianapolis area that were all my same age that played, and we were all kind of on the same level, so you never really knew who would beat who, if that makes sense. I don't even think it was 4 or 5. I think it was like 2 or 3 of us. And then we ended up all going to different high schools, and I'll tell that story in a second, but because it kind of plays into all this. When I was like, I think I was like 8 or 9 or 10, I wanted to play hockey. And the reason that I wanted to play was because my dad had his partner at the time, his work partner, his kids played hockey. And so we were all like, friends and everything, and I wanted to play hockey because of them. And so, now can you imagine me as a hockey player? So I joined up for hockey, and I was on the North Stars. Now here's the thing. Because I started later than everybody else, like 2 years later, I was a bigger kid than everybody else. So they made me play goalie. So it's hilarious because when you see these pictures of me from back then, I'm like this big kid on this team of like little small kids, right? And so anyway, I would get up, every Saturday, Sunday morning. I think it was like 2 days on the weekends. Like one day was the practice and the next day was the game. And I don't really remember a whole lot of it. I remember it because I remember it being really sweaty in those like uniforms. Have you ever seen well, obviously you've seen hockey uniforms, but they're just like so heavy and they're just like, ugh. And like, I can remember like just they're being so sweaty and wearing like long underwear underneath them and stuff. My dad tells this funny story that when we went to go buy them, I must have been younger than that. I must have been like 8 and they must have been like 6. Because when we went to go buy this stuff for the uniform, I had to like get like a cup. You guys know what I'm talking about, like a jockstrap cup kind of thing. And I remember I said to my dad, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with this. And he goes, just shut up and put it on. And I came out and I had it on over my long underwear. And my dad's like, yeah, that's fine. Just wear it like that. Because I didn't know what to do with it, So anyway, but that's so funny to me that like back then, we even had to wear all of that garb and all this kind of stuff. My dad said that practices started at 6 a.m. on Saturday mornings, and my mom wouldn't get up until like 10 or 11 o'clock on a good Saturday or Sunday, if that early, and they were separated at that point. So my dad would have to drive over and get me in time to get me suited up at the stadium and to play, and the place was about 20 minutes away, which means that my dad's Saturday mornings started at about 4 o'clock in the morning. Can you even imagine? Okay. Here's my dad, single, right? Newly divorced, living on his own, probably wanting to go out and date in his late 30s and have fun, you know? And he has to get up at 4 a.m. on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning to take his kid to hockey, which I hated, okay? I complained the whole time. And every single time I went, I wanted to like drop out. Like this is like kind of the story. So apparently, for like every game that I went to, you know, both my parents would always show up for the games. Every game, I would go home and apparently I would like cry on the way home to my mom and I would say, I just want to quit, I hate it, I hate it. I have to get up early, I don't like it, it's not fun, I don't enjoy it, blah, 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 whatever, right? The only thing I liked, which is so funny because I am like not a violent person at all, like, when you're younger like that age, you don't really understand hockey, I don't think, except for these two things, right? Get the puck in the net, number one. Number two, slam the shit out of everybody into the wall. Like, I do remember that. Like, we would all just, like, pile up on people, like, up against the wall and see how, like, hard you could, like, slam and stuff. So, anyway, I also remember this, too. Like, when I would go skating with my friends on Friday nights, because that was like a big deal to go ice skating back in the day with our friends on like, you know, Friday nights or Saturday nights or something. Like they all had figure skates that they rented, but I had my own hockey skates and they thought I was really cool because of that. So anyway, but like every time after the game, I would like get in the car and I would just like bawl my eyes out to my mom, you know, and I'd be like, I don't want to play hockey anymore. I don't want to play hockey. And she'd be like, well, you have to finish, okay? Like we're not quitters. This was a big, big deal in my family. Like you didn't quit shit, okay? Like if you joined something, you were going to play it out all the way. You did not quit something, all right? Especially if they paid their hard-earned money for it. Like, that was the deal. So, you signed up for hockey, you're going to finish it, okay? If you don't ever want to play again, you don't ever have to play again. So, about 3/4 of the way through the season, the registration for the next season comes up. Well, you have to register at that time because they only have so many spaces for the team and whatever, right? So my mom asked me, and I was like, no, I don't ever want to do it again. I hate hockey. As soon as this is over, I'm not playing hockey anymore. I'm done. I'm done with hockey. I hate it, whatever, right? She's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, okay? And now here was the deal when I was growing up. My parents didn't care what I was involved in, but I had to be involved in something artistic, and that means that I could be reading, you know, like in a library program, and I had to do something that was athletic, but I had to be doing a couple of different things, all extracurricular from the school. Like, I had to like be entertaining my mind, my body, and all of it, and I'm very, very thankful for that. I really, really am. And in fact, you know, my mother was like very active, even later in life. You know, she like walked very, like she was like one of those walkers, you know, and she was always very into her health, which is interesting that she died of some kind of strange disease. My dad and my stepmom ran forever. I mean, they were like marathon runners. They like, you know, my dad's 78, so he doesn't anymore, but they're still very much into like eating healthy and all that kind of stuff. And so I wish I had kept it on for a longer time, you know. I also wish that I would have swam in high school. I think that that would have been something that I would have enjoyed and been good at because I just love to get in the water. But anyway, so the day that it's all done, we have this banquet, right? You have to get in a suit and tie and all that kind of stuff and go to the banquet and they give out most valuable player and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think I got something like, thank you for playing on the team. I mean, I was so bad at hockey, right? So anyway, we go to the banquet and we're having a little dinner, Salisbury steak or whatever it was. And we, you know, are done and we're going home and I say goodbye to my dad and my mom and I are driving home. And she tells this story. I don't remember this story. Well, she told the story. And she said that all of a sudden I just started bawling. And she looked over and she said, sweetie, what's wrong? And I said, I'll never get to see my North Stars again. And that's kind of how my whole life has been. Like, everything has always been about endings to me. And one of the things that's really weird, okay, and I know that this is where I'm going to lose a lot of people is, every time I have gone to see a psychic, okay, I don't even care if they're like the biggest joke in the entire world. Every psychic has told me that this is my last life cycle. They've all told me that, okay? And what's weird about that is that I just did a story. I just talked about this on my vlog the other day. So if you don't follow my vlog, Peter Vlogs, it's listed below. You're missing a lot of stories on there, okay? But I talked about this on there the other day about how my last day of elementary school, like I was so just like upset that it was over. And I've always had a hard time with closure, whether you can ask my friends about endings of songs, okay? If a song is getting near the end in my car, I rewind it and put it at the beginning, or I move to the next song. I don't like endings of songs. I just don't. And I've always had such an issue with like the endings of TV shows, endings in general, just like, I don't know, I don't do well with closure and endings, you know? And no matter how much work I've done on it, I just don't do well with it. So that was that, and I didn't play hockey again. I didn't, you know, that was just, I was very upset that I was never gonna see my North Stars again or whatever, you know? And, but I did continue to play tennis, and that was my consistent sport that I played. And I mean, I played tennis. You know, I cannot remember a time growing up that I wasn't at, in the summer, I was involved in a very extensive camp that was every day. And, and it also had a private tennis coach on top of that I met with like 2 or 3 times a week. And then during the school year, I think I did practices like 3 times a week, and I had a league. I was playing 5 times a week. I mean, all the way until I was like a freshman in high school. So my freshman year in high school, I don't know how they found out about me playing or whatever, but like the high school team where I went was sophomore, junior, senior. So freshmen didn't play tennis on a team, a competitive team. But they came to me and they asked me if I would play competitively for the high school team. And so I did, and they put me in first singles. Now imagine a freshman coming onto the high school tennis team, okay, when freshmen never play for the high school team ever anyway. And they put me on the team and they make me #1 singles. It did not go over well, okay? And these kids were so ruthless to me. So whereas other kids, I think, go play athletics and they get very quickly accepted into their team and made to feel welcome, I was not made to feel that way at all. In fact, I was, you know, made fun of on a daily basis. The same things that people were calling me in the hall, they were calling me on the tennis court. It just was a lot. I hated it. And slowly what happened over time was that I really ended up hating the sport of tennis, because for me, it no longer was a safe place. And for so long, tennis had been this safe place for me where I could retreat from the shit that was going on every day at school, or the names that people were calling me, or the feelings and the shame that I had inside of me. And I could retreat into the game of tennis, and I could take my anger out on it. And that no longer was a place for me to be able to do that. I played my entire freshman year. My sophomore year, I went back to play tennis. They made me first singles, and I also played first doubles. And I was playing first doubles with another person that I did not get along with. And and I kind of did this intentionally. When I had been like 10 years old, my dad, who was a very, very good sportsman kind of guy, okay? My dad, when it comes to morality and things like that, he's an amazing guy. And I had thrown my racket one time. And my dad said to me, I was walking off the court, and he said, "Go pick up your racket." Or no, I threw my racket and I went to the back, and my dad came down to me and he pulled me over. There was like these plastic screens. If you guys have ever played in a racket club, you'll know what I'm talking about. And he pulled me over and I said, "What?" And he goes, "Go default the game." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "Go default the game. You're not going to play bad sportsman." And he made me default the game. I will never forget. I mean, and so flash forward, it's sophomore year in high school. I mean, it's now been what, like 8 years? And I'm sitting there and I'm so over it. This guy is like to my left and he is just saying stuff in my ear constantly, right? And so he said something, I missed the ball, and I threw my racket. And I just looked right at my dad, and my dad goes, he pointed to the racket, and I went over to the net and I shook the hand with the guy, and my coach goes, he goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm defaulting the game," and I walked back and never picked up another racket. About a year ago, Alex and I I had all the tennis rackets. We have tennis courts where we play that we can play on any time that we want. And we had tennis rackets over here, and I had talked about how I had played tennis growing up, and Alex had heard the stories and stuff, but I think he kind of didn't believe it. And so I picked up the rackets and I said, "Yeah, you want to go down there and play?" So we went down there and we were hitting around a little bit. And he goes, "Let's play a game. I want to really see how good you are." And okay. I said, "Okay." And so he goes, "You serve first." And I was like, boom. And he goes, "You're pretty good." I go, "I guess you just don't lose it." But you know what? We played that game, and I have no necessity in my heart to ever play tennis again. I wish I could get to the point where I could play it recreationally and enjoy it, but it lost that for me. And it lost that for me because of, I think, the experiences that I had with the people that I played with. And You know, it's very sad to me that I have allowed at times in my life for things like that to come in front of it. But I also have to create safe places in my heart and in my soul and in my life. And I don't know, you know, that I care to do enough work on tennis or on, I mean, I've done a lot of work on some of this stuff already and talked about it in the past, but I don't know that I care to do that much work so that I can get back to playing tennis again. I just don't know that it's that important to me. And as you get older in life, one of the things you realize is some of the things that used to be that important to you just aren't as important to you as they were before. But it's funny to me, you know, when I think back on the first 16 years of my life that I was so dedicated to playing sports on a daily basis almost, you know, and being active. I mean, I was in it to win it, okay? I mean, I was a ball boy at the RCA and clay court tennis championships in Indianapolis, okay? I have my racket signed by every major player back in the day. Bjorn Borg, you know, Yvonne Lindell, you know, all of them. And, you know, it's crazy to me when I look back on that. And like, I mean, I can remember walking around those RCA tennis championships, you know, with my little outfit on, with my white shorts and the RCA shirt on with my pals, and we'd be like getting Cokes and walking around, and we thought we were the coolest thing as the ball boys. Do you guys don't remember ball boys that like, they would like roll the ball over the other side? Oh my God, that was so much fun. But you know, I really thought it was gonna be a major part of my life for my entire life. So I guess the lesson to me today is that those things in my life today might not be around 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So when we look at attachments in our lives, especially negative attachments, sometimes it's easier to just let it go. Sometimes it's easier to just let things that are negative in our lives just drift away. And, you know, like the saying with the butterfly, if it was really yours, it'll come back to you. And I believe that, you know, and maybe one day down the road, Alex and I will start playing tennis on a more regular basis, and I'll fall in love with it again. And I hope so, but I don't have that need for me today. And that feeling of being content is amazing. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.